In 1959, the Russian zoologist Dmitry Belyov started one of the longest-running scientific studies on canine domestication. Belyov began with 130 silver foxes that lived on a commercial fur farm in Estonia. Belyov selected foxes that display tameness toward humans. Only the tamest of these foxes, 20 to 25%, were selected to breed the next generation of tame fox kits. Let's follow what Belyov and his scientists observed after breeding tame foxes with one another for over 40 generations. In the first generation, the researchers would have seen foxes which look very much like their wild relatives. Wild silver fox ears stand upright on their head immediately after birth, and their tails point downward. Their hair is brown at the base and silver-black tipped along the hair follicle. As they began breeding tame fox individuals with one another, the researchers would have already noted behavioral changes in fox kits by the second generation. Already, foxes are more approachable than previous generations and show a decrease in aggressive behavior toward humans. Around the fourth generation, young foxes begin to wag their tail in response to humans and approach them voluntarily. These foxes are also more amicable to human interaction, allowing themselves to be pet and carried by a human while creating whimpering vocalizations. By the sixth generation, we see that several individuals show full affinity to humans, seeking proximity with them and engaging in other social behavior, such as sniffing and licking experimenters, just like domestic dogs. By the 8th to 10th generation, researchers would begin to note changes in the fox kit's morphological traits. Foxes began to lose pigment in some areas of their body and began to exhibit a piebald coloration, a fur pattern characteristically seen in domesticated species, in which hair is both pigmented and unpigmented, or white. Around the 9th generation, researchers begin to see foxes that retain juvenile traits. No longer do the ears on these foxes stand upright directly after birth like their wild counterparts. These foxes have floppy ears for longer periods of time, up to 3 months. Foxes in the 13th generation begin to display another trait common in domestic dogs: tails rolled in a circle. The tail of a wild fox points downward, whereas the farm fox's tails curl upwards, especially when in the presence of a human. After 15 to 20 breeding generations, foxes began to be born with shorter tails and legs. Researchers even noted foxes that had tails between 3 to 6 vertebrae shorter in length than their wild fox relatives. After years of breeding tame foxes with one another, the researchers had officially created a new breed, the Russian domesticated red fox. In 1999, 70 to 80% of the experimentally selected fox population were classified as domesticated. Domesticated foxes display a variety of coat colors, from the piebald coloration characteristic to all domestic species, to variations on the original classic red fox coloration, and various combinations of silver and white patterns. These foxes have short tails that curl upwards, as seen in other domestic dog breeds, such as the Shiba Inu. These individuals are friendly, docile, and social, often displaying attention-seeking behavior towards humans, such as playing, whimpering, licking, and nuzzling. The behavioral and physiological changes of individual foxes over generations of selective breeding provide an important model for domestication. This study allowed humans to observe and record the domestication process from generation 1 on, something no one had ever done before. How did a wolf turn into a pug? Or an African wildcat into a Maine Coon cat? Next time you interact with a domesticated animal, think about the behavioral and physical changes that had to occur over generations of breeding to produce the animal you see today.